everyone. My name is Laurie and I'm from Family Law Services Online. Today we are joined by Sharron Keogh. Sharron shows professional and entrepreneurial women how to transform their relationship with themselves. And she's been developing her method for creating full body wellness for over the past 10 years. Sharron works with her clients to help them gain more clarity, have a greater sense of self-worth, significantly improved wellness, and deeper connections to themselves and those around them. As a holistic health practitioner, Sharron provides one-to-one coaching. She facilitates women's circles, is an essential oils expert, and delivers incredible self-care treatments to bring balance back to the mind and body through raindrop technique massage, hot stone massage, and energy balancing work. Sharron will share with us some simple and practical strategies over the course of the next few weeks on what she does to help her clients during times in their life when they may be dealing with bouts of stress, overwhelm, and all the while feeling low on energy. She works with them to help them feel more calm, relaxed, energized, and regain a newfound sense of clarity. Hello, everyone, and welcome back, Sharron. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you for having me, Laurie.
I'm really excited about this conversation that we're having today, all about resilience.
Yes.
I think it's so important, especially with so much of our country at the moment has gone back into lockdown and people are struggling with what's going on in their lives, just normally trying to find their new normal and then all of a sudden being able to be restricted to their home. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's been challenging for so many people for different reasons. And then on top of that, dealing with the personal issues that they've got going on in their own lives. And so I'm being really passionate about trying to teach people how to be more resilient and deal with the overwhelm so that they can move through these times really powerfully, not only for now, but also for the future as well. So I guess when it comes to being resilient, it's about our ability to really deal with challenges when we face them, right? And being able to recover really quickly and spring back, or I like to talk about springing forward. So why would you want to be resilient? And I guess the thing when it comes to why we want to be resilient is so that we don't let those challenges and those things that we have to deal with in our lives actually take us out completely. Because I know that there have been times where I've wanted to crawl into the fetal position and not get up. But for most of us, we have responsibilities and we can't really allow ourselves to be in that place for too long. So we want to be able to move through those times really powerfully and keep moving forward towards achieving our goals and what it is that we're actually out to accomplish.
It's also a great, it's a skill that you need to be able to show your children too, because the obstacles that they keep hitting up against in life, they're not going to go away. There will always be road bumps or speed bumps, and getting over them, having that resilience to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And they don't learn from always what you say. They learn from how you do things. So they're watching and they're observing and they're learning that way. So seeing how you deal with those times and what you say in those times is really, really important. And so I guess, I think of resilience, there's two kind of responses. Either you're reacting or you're responding in a situation. And when you're reacting, you're emotional, you're not taking things in, you're not responding in a very calm and measured manner. Or you're responding, you're able to be managing your emotions, you're really calm in that moment, and you can actually communicate your thoughts and your feelings really calmly. And so I know one of those two that I like to be. And obviously we're not perfect and we're not going to be perfect in every moment, but the more that we practice it, the more we'll be better at that as well. And so I guess the thing that I find that keeps us stuck and not moving forward in those moments are a few key things. And so one of them is I find staying in the upset. So we have that poor me scenario and that victim mentality. And we say things to ourselves like, this always happens to me. And when we have that mindset and we're saying those things, we just stay in that space way longer than we need to be. Now, I'm really passionate about making sure that you feel whatever the emotions are. So I'm not saying you're not allowed to feel any emotions or express those. You definitely do. Otherwise, that's going to get stored in the body as disease or illness. But it's giving yourself that time frame as to how long you're going to feel that, and then starting to move out of that space. The second thing that I find that we do a lot when we're in that space is we often play that blame game. Now, I know it's very easy to want to blame and point the finger at everybody else, but it's only going to disempower you in that moment, because what you're doing is you're saying that that situation that you're faced with right now is outside of you. And when it's outside of you, you have a lack of control. But if you actually stop and take a moment and see how you could be responsible for some aspects of this situation, then you're going to be more empowered, and there's going to be more actions that you'll start to see that you can start to take to move forward.
Yeah. You don't want to give your power to other people. And that's what I see in those situations, is that when you're blaming other people, you're giving your power or your happiness or your ability to be happy is dependent on everybody else except you.
Absolutely. And, they always say that, when you're pointing the finger out, there's always three fingers pointing back at you. So, I like to, even in this moment where we've been dealing with, it's very easy to say it's the government's fault for not doing X, Y, and Z, or our partner for not doing X, Y, and Z. And if they've done this, it's very easy. But if we look at it from that perspective, it's all outside of us. And you feel like there's no actions that you can take, and you're in that. And then, it's that recurring cycle where you go back to the poor me, this always happens, and then you keep staying stuck, and that cycle continues. So getting out of that blame game, stopping, taking a moment, seeing where you can be responsible is going to give you back your power and help you move through that. The other thing that I find is people resist change. Now, there's only one thing that's constant in this life, and that's change. And actually being in a position where we can start to accept that there's always going to be change, then there comes some relief in that. And again, we can keep moving forward. And it's just about being kind to ourselves. And we'll talk about that more as we move through the series, about ways that you can be kind to yourself and find that inner calm. But just acknowledging there's always going to be change, and it's a constant thing, and it's all about energy. Everything's energy and motion, and everything's flowing. So that's another thing that I find that people get stuck when it comes to staying in that overwhelm and not being resilient. The other thing is about living in the past. So I know that we can sometimes, reflect back on past situations that we've come across, and, we say, oh, well, this didn't work out last time, or this relationship didn't work out, and it's happened again. And we keep ourselves stuck thinking the past is happening again in our present, or it's going to happen in our future. So it's just being mindful in those moments that just because something happened before, it doesn't mean it has to happen again. Our past doesn't always equal our future. And it's also about, you're a different person now to who you were 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, or even 5 to 10 years ago. So just because a situation seems similar, it doesn't mean that it's the same.
We can learn from our mistakes.
Absolutely.
And keep going. I find a lot of similarities if you step back and think about how you actually parent your children. What do you tell your children in terms of growing up? You're going to make mistakes, and it's okay. You just need to learn from them and keep moving forward.
Yeah, exactly right. And the other thing that I find is also, because of those situations, we sabotage ourselves as well. We allow our subconscious to run the show. And again, it's almost that automatic, we're not thinking, we're not present, we're just doing the same behaviors all the time. And that also can be the fact that it's not going to support where we are now and where we want to be moving forward. So again, allowing ourselves some space to give ourselves a break, be kind to ourselves in that moment, and just get present to, well, what's running the show here? Am I actually present in the moment? Is something else going on? And taking control, because we have the ability to change our behaviors and how we're responding as well. So I guess, I've kind of touched a little bit on, what do you do now? How do you be more resilient and move through those, apart from, being present to all the things that can keep you stuck? The first thing is being kind to yourself. So it's self-care is so important. When we're dealing with so many different challenges, we're often so hard on ourselves. We are our worst critic. And the other thing that I find as well is, in the last 18 months, not only have we dealt with so much from a business, professional, lifestyle change, but also personal. And that's also had different dynamics as well when we've had other challenges. But if we are dealing with one challenge after the other, and we're not taking time in between to take care of ourselves, our level of resilience will diminish more and more each time. So it's really important to top yourself back up once that challenge is also passed, so then you can keep moving forward really powerfully. Because again, you're topping up your energy to be able to deal with that. The other thing is creating some space for yourself. One of the things that I did, which was really powerful, and as a type A personality, I don't always do, is creating some space. When I took some time out and I did nothing for a month, it actually cleared my mind. It gave me the capacity to see what it was that was important, and it enabled me to really shift where I was that I was going and what I needed to do moving forward. And I know that that's really hard sometimes when you're caring for children and there's other lifestyle things happening, but seeing how you can lean on your support networks around you to allow you some of that time and that space to really allow yourself to do that, because we often push it aside going, yes, it's important, but I can't do it. But no, it's really critical that you do make some space for that. Another thing is around raising your vibration. So your energy is everything, and we'll talk about that later in the series as well. But raising your vibration is really important, because that's going to move you out of that negative point where you're at and get you into a more positive mindset and shift that negative energy. And that moves into, shifting your perception. So our perception about a situation is so important. And sometimes that's where it can be really important to talk about it with somebody else, because they're going to see things from a different point of view, because they're not in the thick of it like you might be as well. So finding someone that you might be able to trust, or some other like-minded people that you might have around you. Sometimes it might not be our closest friends and family, and sometimes I know I don't go to them because they have their own points of view, pulling me down as opposed to lifting me up. So it's knowing the right people to do that. But yeah, shifting your story around it. So sometimes I will tell myself, and I get it, it's being inventive and creative, but I will create a new story for myself about that. So maybe this didn't happen because I wasn't meant to be in this situation because of X, Y, and Z. Now, it may not be true, but if it's more empowering and it gives me that new view and it looks in a more positive light, then that's what's going to help shift me out of that space and help me move forward. So finding how can you create a new narrative and a new story around what's happening in that moment. And then the last thing is around breaking things down. I like to call it chunking it down into small bite-sized pieces. So I know when you look at something and it's this massive and you can get really overwhelmed with, where do you start? but starting to break it down into small little bite-sized pieces or chunking it down, then it helps it be more manageable, and then you can focus on it, and then you're also being able to acknowledge yourself for what you're achieving along the way as well. So yeah, that's what I find is really the most powerful things when it comes to being more resilient, and what keeps us stuck and how to help move through and deal with that overwhelm that you might be finding.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. For people who are stuck at the moment, especially in the current situation, where can they find you if they want to get more information?
Yeah, people can find me on my website, SharronKeogh.com, or they can reach out to me on social media at the Sharron Keogh.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sharron. And those details will also be below in this post as well. Thank you so much. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Laurie.
Bye.